I have to timestamp this for you because the timestamp is very relevant. It is Friday, January 31st at 2:07 p.m. as I am talking, and the markets have suddenly begun to tank. The markets, in fact, began to tank. Let me pull them up so I can show you. Yes, the markets began to tank just about 20 minutes ago. That 20 minutes ago is deeply relevant because at the White House press secretary, who, by the way, is doing an excellent job, just a few days on the job, is doing an excellent job. She announced President Trump tomorrow will impose 25% tariffs on Mexico and Canada. Turns out the president's here is also a 10% tariff on China. Mexico and Canada are our biggest trading partners, and the result is prices are going to go up. Now, I have a personal theory on the way this is going to work. I think that tariffs are going to operate like a sugar high. We're going to get a windfall of revenue initially, and then we're going to crash. Prices start to go up. People slow down their purchases. Now, here's what's also very relevant. It's not just that the markets are now nosediving because Donald Trump is announcing these tariffs. It's that oil prices are starting to go up. Oil prices were actually down this morning, but I'm looking now, and as they're going up, they haven't gone up much yet, but they're up. Price of a barrel of West Texas crude is $73.08. Brent crude, $76.92. It's still better than the $80 that they were. But when you got the Dow now headed down, the S&P 500 headed down, the NASDAQ is up, but it's kind of recovering from all the tech news the other day. It's still not doing well. That's a warning sign of the market reactions to tariffs. I want to explain tariffs to you, and so here's the thing you have to understand philosophically. We know how much tariffs bring in because we know how much we trade economically. And we know how much the income tax generates in this country. Donald Trump wants to get rid of the income tax and replace it with tariffs. The problem is twofold. One, there are not enough votes to get rid of the income tax amendment in the Constitution. So Republicans can get rid of the income tax, but then Democrats can not only bring it back, but Democrats would be able to bring the income tax back through reconciliation because it's not a new policy. The rule is you can't implement new policy in reconciliation. Reconciliation is how the Senate bypasses the filibuster for budgetary matters related to the deficit. Because the income tax is in the Constitution and not a new policy, if the Democrats take back Congress, the Democrats can re-implement an income tax of their design without worrying about the filibuster and keep the tariffs. You can't get rid of the income tax unless you can repeal the amendment, and there aren't the votes there to do it. So Trump can want to get rid of the income tax and do tariffs, but he can't completely get rid of the income tax. The other problem is tariffs are definitionally inflationary. Now, I don't think, and this is where I come back to my sugar analogy, I don't think that they would be immediately inflationary. It's not a guarantee that they would. And also, it's not dollar for dollar. If Donald Trump adds $10 to goods, $10 to the cost of a good, it's not that the good is going to go up $10, but it's still going to go up. It may only go up $5. The company might eat the loss in some cases and scale back profits, but then that affects shareholder value, that affects dividends, that affects the stock market. So the tariffs have wider ranging ramifications. Let me just listen. I have a hard time doing math in my head. I have to keep it very simple, but I want to do this one for you. Let's take, I'm just going to say, a widget. And the widget is $10. And Donald Trump increases, does a 100% increase in tariffs, or it raises it, so the price because of the tariff goes from $10 to $20. The argument from tariff advocates is that what will happen is we'll start making that widget in this country. And that's probably true. You put a high enough tariff on something, and it inspires domestic manufacturers to start producing it. And it creates jobs here, and you're thinking that's good, except there's a problem. We know the labor costs of, for example, let's even leave China out of it. Let's say Vietnam. We know the labor cost there versus labor costs here. So the widget you were getting from Vietnam was $10 until the tariff. Now it's $20. So they start making the widget here. They can't make the widget here for $10 because of the labor costs. So the widget here costs $15. You've still increased $5. Your increase in the widget is $5. Now, the tariff advocates would argue, but you've created now well-paying jobs in this country. That's true for the widget makers, but for everyone else, our job situation hasn't improved, but our costs have gone up. Tariffs tend to raise costs. And in raising costs, that's inflationary. That then hurts the economy, and that puts the economy into recession. That's why the markets are reacting the way they're reacting right now. That's why, with the announcement of the tariffs, 25% on Mexico and Canada, the markets began to go down. He says they're in relation to the illegal fentanyl that they have sourced and allowed to distribute into our country. The details will not be announced until tomorrow. The White House press secretary says these are promises made and promises kept. The U.S. does $1.6 trillion in annual business with Mexico, China, and Canada, the three countries that are related. Peter Navarro, Donald Trump's trade advisor, says, quote, "We've got the Super Bowl coming up in Early. The amount of people that fit in the New Orleans Superdome are almost equal to the number of people dying every year in this country from fentanyl that comes from China and Mexico." Economists worry the tariffs could reignite inflation at a time when it appears price pressures are beginning to abate. The Commerce Department said the inflation reading that the Federal Reserve most watches is 2.6% in December, in line with expectations. My suspicion, my guess, and I don't know, I'm just guessing, is that it's a negotiation tactic. My guess is that Donald Trump really doesn't want to implement the tariffs. I think what he's doing is he wants concessions made on border security from both the Canadians and the Mexicans, and help with the fentanyl issue from China. That's my guess. The markets reacted very negatively to it, but also here's the thing. Donald Trump has been saying for a while he wants to impose tariffs. He wants tariffs. He doesn't want an income tax. The markets risk taking all of this under consideration now, realizing he's serious, and actually reacting negatively in the next week. They're going to want to see what happens tomorrow. He's not saying what the tariffs are going to be until tomorrow. I suspect that they announced it today to see what the market reaction would be, and they'll be much more calibrated tomorrow. So you should prepare. I wanted to explain to you how they work, but don't overreact. See what happens first. We'll find out tomorrow whether or not this is a negotiating tactic. Whether or not between now and tomorrow, when the tariffs are formalized, if Canada and Mexico respond in such a way that the president either walks it back or scales back from 25% to 10%, there's a lot unknown, but you should prepare. And the market drop is a signal that we do have issues we have to worry about. The market drop is a signal that the markets really don't want to go down the tariff road. Economists on the left, the right, and the center all of them generally agree tariffs cause prices to go up. Not one for one, you should know. A $10 increase in a tariff doesn't mean the price of the good is going to go up $10, but it does mean the cost of the good is going to go up. The price is going to go up. And that will cost you money. Right now, there are a lot of people, particularly Democrats, saying Donald Trump's been there now over a week. Why hasn't he done anything about the economy? Well, it's going to take time. But if he does go down the tariff road, as he says he's going to do, it's going to take even longer. So my educated guess, based on the economic ramifications of tariffs, is that he's using this for leverage and negotiation. He's not actually using this. Who knows? Be right or wrong by Monday. We'll find out. But if it actually is an implementation of a 25% tariff on everything coming in from Canada and Mexico, one, it's really going to hurt the auto industry, and two, it's going to hurt the bottom line for Americans given the amount of stuff we import from Canada and Mexico, and you, not Canada and Mexico, are going to pay for it. And that is one of the baffling things. You talk to people in the White House, you talk to people in Congress, they all tell you that Donald Trump, one, really believes in tariffs, and two, really believes that those countries pay the tariffs. And that's not how tariffs work. You pay the tariffs because the countries aren't charged a tax. It is the companies that are importing the goods pay the tax and then jack up the price to make back the money so that you ultimately are the one paying it. It's a very simple concept, but for some reason he doesn't seem to get that. My hope, however, is that this is negotiating for border security and other issues related to the fentanyl crisis, and he doesn't actually intend to go through with 25% tariffs. We can hope.